This is the Fifth Estate winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 7th of February 2020 and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am GK, and in case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Standard, KIBAKI saved Moi from eviction.
Yes.
In the Daily Nation,
yes.
The Moi you never knew. And in the Star, Kalenjin elders now advise on Moi burial.
Yes.
So guys,
all Moi related.
Yes, all Moi related, and it's the topical thing.
Absolutely.
So in the Star, Kalenjin elders now advise on Moi burial. The context here is that there's a tradition, and the traditional Kalenjin
burial systems,
and the Christianity are coming together. And Kalenjins are saying there's certain things that they would do for their elder, and the church is also saying a different thing. So we have that, according to the Kalenjins, Moi will be buried with his head facing sunrise.
Yes.
That one they've agreed to.
Yes.
He should also be buried at night so that he awakens with the sun. I think the compromise here is that he will be buried in the afternoon, according to Kalenjin tradition. And because he was a staunch Christian, I think people want to pay homage to that. They want to say, let's respect this man and what he stood for. Tugans also bury people to the right side of their houses and at the front. So he will be buried on the right side of Kabarak. So just that, and a few things. Other things is that 10 heads of state have confirmed that they will attend the burial. There will be a 19-gun salute.
Yes.
The only other time I think we've had a gun salute is for Jomo Kenyatta, who had 21.
Yes.
And that Tuesday is a public holiday. And that the memorial will be at Nyayo Stadium. And they're encouraging us as citizens in memory of Moi to plant trees.
I really like that part.
I like that.
So very touching.
Tutapanda miti.
Tapanda miti. And then in the Standard, an interesting story. It's
a story. The day KIBAKI saved Moi from eviction. Yesterday, Kireto Murungi, well, he was at Cabernet Gardens. He decided to give a story of how him and one Amos Kemunya hatched a plot to dispossess Moi of Cabernet Gardens. Now, for those that don't know Cabernet Gardens was actually the home of the residence of Vice President. And
so he got in there and never left.
He never left. Now, Moi actually admonished Kiraitu and Amos Kemunya and said, what the heck are you trying to do? What you must do now is go to Moi and give him the title of that piece of land. And Moi actually saved, KIBAKI actually saved Moi from eviction.
So KIBAKI gave him a gift, essentially.
It was a gift, but it's also a lesson to those in power today. Don't really harass those that could actually help you tomorrow. Because I will not go further.
Okay. Interesting story.
Words of advice
headline.
for
future presidents and current.
And finally, in the Daily Nation, the Moi you never knew. So they talk about how he was a very private man. I think most people know that he didn't drink. He had a very strict diet. They say that he didn't eat carbohydrates and protein together, but he would have beef and vegetables for breakfast. Very interesting. Very private. When you would stay in hotel rooms, a very few secret people were allowed to be on the same floor as him. He was also very precise with what he wore. I think we know he was a very dapper man. Wore fantastic suits.
And strict with time.
Exactly.
If you were late to come down, he left without you.
That's very interesting. I think it's a nice flip side, kind of like looking into the private life of this man that we didn't know a lot about. And I think for the headline, that picture is fantastic.
Him with a guitar.
It's such a beautiful picture.
It is.
But there's an aspect of his life that I don't think the nation captured. Once Salim Amin, in an editorial piece, I can't remember when, actually called Moi the carnivore of Kabarak in an article. And he said, Moi used to have lamb or goat slaughtered every single day. The guy fed on nyama like a nonsense.
Interesting.
And the same for Jomo. Martin Shikuku tells us that he would walk into State House and he would have a nyama and soup. And Shikuku used to say that Jomo used to tell him, kunywa dhufu napata nguvu. you know. And even to there are rumors out there that Uhuru loves to eat meat, and actually
he likes his lamb chops.
Yes. So for those ones who are saying don't have red meat,
don't eat meat.
Masais ate meat and they lived for such a long time.
Yes.
A lot must be said about his diet. I mean, so he might have been what, 96 or 90 or older, 102, 103. So this diet worked for him.
Absolutely, yes.
Definitely.
So every day, please have roasted meat.
Read your Bible, pray every day, have some meat.
Milk and a bit of beer.
It's interesting. It says he seemed very lonely, especially during parties and banquets abroad. And I think it's that thing when we talked about striking the balance between being an introvert and an extrovert. And what people expect of you as a leader. Very interesting. So who do we give it to? Given that we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines, we ask ourselves, is it topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? And is it thoughtful or just plain lazy?
I think the Standard.
I think the Daily Nation.
The More You Never Knew.
Okay, so I think we all agreed it's not the Star. The Star has really been losing this battle of, giving.
Okay. Let me change it to the Nation. I like this Moi.
Great. Okay. Fantastic. So I agree with all of you.
Yes.
The Daily Nation gives us our winning headline.
Absolutely.
Onto the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, where we also have a 3-part criteria that we use. We ask ourselves, is it humorous or dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And is it effective or just plain lazy?
Can I quickly help us? The Standard had no cartoon today.
What's happening? Did they fire someone?
I don't know, but Gado has been sleeping. I don't think 2020 has been good to him. So let's toss this that immediately.
So, yes. Or maybe they are probably honoring Moi with having no cartoon. The drawing, this is Ndula, and it's drawing of a candle, and of actually 2 candles. One is bigger than the other. The bigger candle is labeled #RIP Moi. And the second one is, I believe, for the Kakamega 14. And it's called the sense. What happens?
That's smoke.
The smoke.
Yes.
What do they call it? The smoke from a candle is called smoke.
Yes.
Okay, so
and it says, lest we forget the Kakamega 14 as well.
As well, absolutely.
And I think it's just because the stature of Moi has overshadowed the tragedy that happened with the 14 pupils. And we feel for their parents. I mean, 14 is a big number, and something tragically, went wrong with the system, with safety, with standards of the school. But I don't think, it was just
absolutely
catch-22.
No, of course, no. Our thoughts and prayers with both Moi's family and with the families of those children.
Yes.
And finally,
we have the big elephant. Yes. Now, for those that don't know, the largest elephant in the Amboseli was called the Big Tim. And he died. I think it was yesterday. Is it about 2 days ago? And
at age 50.
At age 50. And it says Kenya. The caption there is, Kenya loses an iconic leader, a benevolent, slow-moving preserver of peace at Amboseli. He was also known and loved throughout Kenya. KWS. He's called Big Tim. Now, could this also be connotated to have Moi as well?
I don't see that.
I don't see that.
You don't see it?
No, not so much. Okay, maybe, possibly. But I think it's important that as Kenyans we think about and appreciate our wildlife. And I think that sometimes we forget to do that.
Absolutely. I guess I propose this, guys. Let's not throw any.
I would agree. In respect of, I guess, what you're saying, 2 icons who died.
Absolutely.
Very well.
But we have a losing cartoon of the Standards that didn't exist. What is our final thought?
And now our final thought. It is inspired by a book entitled Dreams from My Father by none other than the first Kenyan American president, Barack Obama. Or the first Kenyan.
There'll be another one.
The first Kenyan, the first Kenyan ever to be the president of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
You lost us.
Yes, exactly. So this week we've been looking at Black History Week in the lead up to Black History Month. Do you want to give us a summary of the week?
Yes, I will actually. I'd even forgotten. So on Monday, we took a look at the book Hidden Figures, The American Dream and the Untold Story of the Black Women Who Helped Win the Space Race by Margot Lee Shetterly. And in this book, we took a look at the lives of 4 amazing African American women that worked against the grain in the front line of the space race. Shetterly narrated the trials and difficulties that women had to go through to succeed in a racist and patriarchal field. On Tuesday, we looked at the book Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. And in this book, Skloot narrates the story of Henrietta Lacks, whose cells were harvested to create an immortal cell line, HeLa. We realized that humankind is forever indebted to Henrietta, and she never got the fame that she deserved, but her legacy lives on, literally.
Yes.
On Wednesday, we dived into the book, The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson. And the book exposed a systemic cultural indoctrination of Black American people that caused Blacks to be dependent and seek out inferior positions in society. He highlighted the education system's failure to reach Black history in school and suggested that Black history books gave no space for actual Black history.
Yes.
And yesterday, we looked at the book, The New Jim Crow,
Yes.
Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness by Michelle Alexander.
Yeah.
And the book highlights the cruel reality of the US prison system, especially regarding the mass incarceration of Blacks in America. We learned that using the war on drugs, a vicious cycle of oppression, continues to push after the Black person is released from prison and continues to keep Black people at the bottom.
Yeah.
And today we have hope.
Yeah, exactly. We're finishing with hope. Yeah, because it can be quite depressing, learning about all of these things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So Dreams from My Father, a story of race and inheritance, written by Barack Obama in 1995. I think it was his first book.
Yes.
So this book is a memoir by Barack Obama, the 44th president of the USA and the first elected Black Kenyan president. Is that correct? Kenyan Black president. So Obama wrote this memoir in 1995, just as he was starting his political campaign for Senator of Illinois, which we know he did successfully win.
Yeah.
So according to some reports, Obama supposedly modeled this memoir after another book called The Invisible Man, written by Ralph Ellison. So just a bit of context for the book. The Invisible Man is a story of an unnamed man living in 20th century America.
Yes.
So it explores the effects of racism and ideology and how this cripples one's ability to carve out their own identity and understand who they are.
Yes.
So the narrator is not invisible literally,
Yes.
but he's invisible because society sees him simply as a Black man and nothing more.
Yes.
So the story kind of explores how does he confront the issues of a racially divided America while also trying to define his identity and understand who he is. So through this context, we can see the journey that Obama is taking us through in his memoir. So it is a story of race and inheritance, like the subtitle says, as Obama grows to learn and show an understanding of who he came to be and what factors in his life contributed to it. So the book is divided into 3 sections, each that capture a significant part of his life. So the first part is origins, the second part is Chicago, and the third part is Kenya. So origins, the first part, opens with Obama at 21 years old, learning that his father had passed away in a car crash, I believe in 1982.
Yes.
So with all of the knowledge, with this knowledge, we know that Obama didn't grow up with his father, right? He grew up with his mother, she was white, and so much of his own history and his heritage is unknown. He doesn't know a large chunk of his life. But early on, he explains how he became deeply troubled by questions of racial identity. So he's having this conflict. He's growing up with this white family, but he's a Black man in America. He doesn't know his father who lives in Kenya. So he has a lot of questions going on in his life.
And then he's mixed race, so the Black community considers him
white, but the white community sees him as Black. So you're seeing that as origins, we're beginning to see this conflict that he's having in his life. Who is he and who is he going to become?
Interesting.
Wow.
So in part 2, he takes us to Chicago. So, and this is when, so he's neared his graduation from Columbia, and he's decided to become a community organizer. Now everyone expected him to join Wall Street, to do really high-flying things, but he was like, you know what, I need to focus on change, the need for change, believing that change would come from a mobilized grassroots, so community level stuff. But he wasn't initially successful, and he would write to all these organizations that dealt with this kind of thing, and nobody would respond back. So he ends up being a research assistant to a multinational corporation. And every lunchtime he feels like he is selling out. He feels like he's not doing what he has actually
been called to do.
And every lunchtime he would sit with the other Black ladies, being the only Black man in that whole organization, and he would tell them the importance of mobilizing the poor and giving back to the community. And they encouraged him to do stuff that would, in the end, make money for himself. Just get out of the South Side, get out of Chicago. But he was then promoted to a financial writer, and he's still not satisfied. Till he gets a call from his sister Auma Obama, who is now famous to us. And she says, "I'm coming to visit you. Will you host me?" And he says yes. And something triggers in him, and he's like, "I'm actually not doing what I love." So he resigns from that job, and he decides that he's going to go into the civil rights space and the community organizing space in the south side of Chicago. And here is where we see Obama getting his first deep immersion into the problems facing the African American community. And his first job, or his first mission is to fix the public housing situation.
Oh, yes.
And he realizes that he couldn't get a lot of stuff done. There's a lot of bureaucracy in the inner city, and he says he realized how much he needed a law degree. And so he then, that was what informed his decision to enroll in Harvard Law School in 1988. Anyway, back to Chicago. Chicago is where Obama learned how and what makes people tick. And in the book he says, essentially people are self-interested. They become involved because they get something out of it. So once you find out what people need or care about, then that is what you use to motivate them into action, and that's what he would do. And with enough action, he would start to build power, not only for himself, but for the community. And if you guys think back to how he actually did his campaigning, it was really on the individual community
based.
So that mobilizing came from these roots, right? And he also realized the importance of forging links not only between private sector but also with government and with the inner cities that he was trying to change. And then if we even come all the way into his retirement, we see that his presidential library didn't go to anywhere else. It actually came to the south side of Chicago. And he says that this library was supposed to be a space that is meant to be a dynamic, vibrant forum for civic participation, education, action, and progress. And his job is not to just make change locally, it's to attract Chicago to the world, or the world to Chicago. Which was very powerful.
So many lessons to learn from that.
So many lessons.
Yes, and humble beginnings do indeed have great ends.
That's
absolutely
true.
So young 26-year-old Barack Obama, on a flight from London, lands at JKIA, and the guy cannot find his flight, his luggage, and therefore he sits on his carry-on bag, right? Takes out a cigarette, lights it up, and smokes. As he's taking 2 puffs, this cop walks over to him.
A Kenyan cop.
And Barack thinks, oh man, I'm in trouble. But the cop says, hey, can I have a cigarette as well?
Can I bum one?
So he sits down and they start smoking. And he says, oh, you look American. Are you American? Oh, yes. First time in Kenya, he says, yes. Oh, so you're from America. So you must know a man called, you must know my brother's son. His name is Samson Otieno. Barack says, no, I don't know this person.
Like America is small.
Like America is small. So the cop disappointedly takes like 2 more puffs, and then Barack decides to tell the cop that he cannot find his luggage. So the cop says, wait here, I'm going back to where the baggage area is, where the conveyor belts are, and I'll help you. So the cop goes and comes back, and he comes out with this lady dressed in British Airways uniform.
Nice.
And this lady is 6 foot tall, and she is stunning.
Did Obama write that in the book?
No, it's me, as I can imagine. And she is as exquisite as God knows what. Beautiful little lady.
She's from Kevin.
She introduces herself as, I am Miss Omoro. How can I help you? Said, I think my luggage could have gone to South Africa. So the lady says, oh, so here's a piece of paper. Just write your name and we will ship your luggage back to you back in Kenya. So he writes his name and all that, gives a slip back to the lady. So Miss Omoro reads and says, oh, Mr. Obama? Says, yes. Are you related to the late Dr. Obama?
Wow.
So Obama is like, wow. Who is this? And she says, oh, we just happened, your father and I were very close family friends. Now, Obama is taken aback. He has traveled the world. He's been to Europe. He has never felt
he was
that
in
way
Jakarta. He was
He's
in Hawaii.
Hawaii. And he says, from LA to New York to Chicago to Hawaii, I have never felt that way. And there's something that got him, and he says, I now feel a sense of home. And I want to read for you guys something that he wrote here that actually, reaffirms this. He says, for the first time in my life, I felt the comfort of firmness of identity that a name might provide, how it could carry an entire history in other people's memories so that they might not and say knowingly, oh, you are so and so's son.
Wow. Nothing like home.
Imagine.
Nothing like home.
Nothing like home.
So on a day where we had a winning headline from the Daily Nation and winning cartoons from both The Star and the Daily Nation for pointing out our icons, I want to leave you with this. Obama famously said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek.
Bless.
So subscribe to our YouTube channel, but also find us on TV. We're on Pang Free to Air, Go TV, and StarTimes. Have a good